So I actually understand your first meeting with Mark was interesting because he supposedly came up and said he was actually a fan of your work and you were surprised, or you actually didn't believe it at first, and then it... Is that true? Or is it...
Yeah, he's a very generous guy. We were at one of these dog and pony shows where you have to show up and sell stuff. And Mark came up and he introduced himself, and he liked the film that I'd been in, and I'd been a fan of his, so that was... made me feel, I mean, I got on the horn and called my folks. Said, Mark Wahlberg just introduced himself to me, and he's also from Boston, so he said we should work together, which in Hollywood is. But he called up, and a year and a half later, and there was a script that I should take a look at, and it was called Contraband, and now we're sitting here across from each other.
You've remarked about how he's actually really legitimately sincere in a business where people really aren't sincere. Like, he really does say things he means and follows through on a lot of stuff.
Mark's old school.
And you appreciate that.
Very much.
And it translates very well to like a family kind of environment on the set, even to something as edgy as Contraband.
It's a tricky word, family, because everybody wants to hustle that word to sell movies. You know, it's like we're such a family, we're so in love, we're doing Thanksgiving again. But Mark is one of those guys that it's very easy to feel like you're his buddy, like you got history with him, and he's so funny, and he's maintained his. He hasn't lost where he's come from, and he loves his friends, and he keeps his friends when he was a kid around him on set. Very loyal human being and a very strong actor, and there are very few leading men, in my opinion, that are able to maintain the everyman. Regardless that he happens to be, you know, extremely charismatic and handsome and tough, but he's got this great American an everyman quality, which is rare, it seems.
This film is interesting because it kind of straddles that line between sort of indie filmmaking and big Hollywood filmmaking. And in a way, your career's done the same thing, whether you're doing something like Alpha Dog or an X-Men. Like, it's very different. Is that what appealed to you about it, that this film? The fact that it kind of has these different elements? Was that on the page, or did you find that more after the film was made?
You have a feeling. Speaking with Mark and looking at the casting, getting to work with Giovanni was a great kick. Being a fan and friend of his for well over a decade. Lucas Haas. And working with Kate, you know, she's a beast of an actress, you know. His shooting style is very aggressive and very fast, and he's up for surprises. And yeah, it wasn't overly. It felt well prepared, but it didn't feel overly planned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It was like what Giovanni was saying about the action being under-rehearsed, which is probably better that way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's, I guess a lot of big Hollywood movies, they spend so much time preparing things, sometimes it's better just to do that. He's like, sometimes you just do it, and it's like, oh, we got it, done.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That's it.
Did it ever affect your performance at all, the fact that you go through things, you're like, really? That was all I had to do?
I prefer it. I'd rather never... rehearsal is and I don't like repeating myself, so I don't know if I've said this 1,000 times to you today already.
I don't think so.
But rehearsal's like love. It's a big word. So you can do your work, you can do homework, you can work with the director, you can work with the other actors, but the idea of running lines in film for me is counterproductive.
So I had read you practice transcendental meditation, I think, and I actually talked to David Lynch about that too. He's very passionate about that. He's raised money to that. How has that helped you as an actor, and how does it help you through a film like Contraband, which has a lot of nervous energy to it and requires you to get into maybe a different frame of mind?
The rigor to take time in your day, the discipline to take time, whatever that is for you, play basketball or take a walk or just sit quietly with yourself, feeds you.
Right.
Being able to hear your own voice is so important in the culture we live in. I mean, TM works for me. I've been doing it for a very long time. I've stepped away from it. I've returned to it. It's not so much dogma, but a technique of silencing the racket.
I assume with Balthazar being as proactive as he is as a director and wanting to be involved in practicing stunts and everything, it must have made a good combination for the two of you. Because he seems very much about just trying to jump into things and do things and not really complaining about it. I imagine you'd probably be an ideal actor because you just want to go and get things done.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had our differences, but that creates for a great collaboration, I hope.
Yeah.
You know, he's determined to find it, and I'm grateful for that.
Is there anything new that you learned about New Orleans working on this movie that you didn't know before?
Well, I got out about 2 days before Mardi Gras, so I'm counting my blessings for that.
Is there anything different you discovered about it, just from where you were shooting and the different places you were in?
No, it's just deeper tracks. The people are tremendous, the food's great, the music is fantastic, everybody's celebrating for any damn reason, and the history informs the energy of the city. And it's a city that doesn't take its history, for better or worse, for granted.
I guess lastly, as far as your character, I mean, how much do you sympathize with someone like that, an anti-hero that you may not necessarily agree with? And do you sympathize more with him at the end after you've gone through that whole process of portraying him?
For me, I have to sympathize, root for, fight for the character all the way through. You have to love them regardless of if my values match up with theirs. One has to figure out, we're all people, we're all capable of doing anything to each other. And that can be frightening to think about.